I believe that we're all truly blessed with the ability to be incredible at something. There's some sort of gene in us. There's some fiber in us. It's the key to greatness in some specific endeavor. But the key is you have to keep trying different endeavors. Muse is like, how do you be entrepreneurial in the path that you're already on? Like, how do you find that get up every day? Like, what can you find? What can you add to your life that you need that's going to give you that spark to, sure, go and start Meat Mafia and Noble based brands, or to go into the office every day and crush it and keep climbing and being creative and thinking and innovating within already an existing culture and bringing whatever it is that you have to that culture that they're missing and take them to a next level.
When I think of Muse, I think of Pressfield a lot. I think of that turning pro moment, that leveling up, getting better and better each day so you can fully capture that image of who you're supposed to be.
The North Star inspiration that pulls you through the resistance, where it's like there's so much that you don't want to do that you have to do. And when you actually have that North Star, like that focal point or whatever it is, that's just off. It literally like pulls you towards it.
Fellas,
Muse.
this has been Muse. This has been a long time coming.
It has.
What, 10 years plus in the making, potentially?
I don't know. When did we graduate?
Yeah.
You and I graduated. Well, I graduated, Harry 2016, me 2017, you 2018, Jacob.
You 2017?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we're the same. You're 30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa. Put me on the spot there. You're 31, right?
Well, those juniors hockey players, so they all graduate college at 27.
Yeah, I think Muzz is 40 at this point, so.
Yeah.
Too funny. So you graduated in 2017.
But yeah.
You were playing baseball where before Babson?
Seton Hall.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did a post-grad year too, so I really should have graduated 2016. The Hun School in Princeton.
Where'd Joey D go? We're going to say all these
We're
names.
just shouting everyone out.
People know names.
For anyone listening, we've got Jacob Donahue on the podcast, fellow Babson Beaver, hockey player though. So
Yeah.
Still a little contentious rivalry here.
We really couldn't start a relationship until after college.
Yeah.
While we were in school, Babson baseball and hockey players.
We couldn't even really start a relationship until we got to Austin. We had to get out of Austin.
Yeah, very true.
I always love the hockey guys though.
Yeah, 100%.
You guys were always disciplined. Knew how to have fun too.
Yeah, I think the first time we really hung out was what year was a Patriots game where they played Atlanta? They came back. I think we were all hanging out in your suite actually watching.
Yes,
that was a good time.
Yeah, we had some good times. And I mean, so for the listener, we all went to Babson together, like Harry said. You played hockey, we played baseball, and then I think we've all had a somewhat similar but different arc too, where we kind of recognized that like the Northeast and New England ultimately wasn't where we were supposed to be. And I remember 2021, middle of COVID, I was living in New Jersey because I was in New York City, but then I got out of New York because it was so desolate, and I saw my vocabulary. We're gonna try not to crack up this podcast too many times.
Desolate. You definitely got a 32 on your ACT.
Yeah, but I saw that you had moved to Austin, but we never communicated about that before, and I thought that was so cool that you had kind of like broken out of the mold of New England and were just doing your thing.
Should we give him the baked chicken story the first night you came down here?
Oh yeah, that was
We'll stick with the baked chicken.
Yeah.
Long story short, Brett and I met up when like the first weekend Brett came down here, moved down here. I'd been here for maybe 6 months, still getting my feet wet. I set up a double date for Brett and I. We got like an hour into it, and I looked at Brett and I'm like, dude, do you want to go make baked chicken and just like go sit on my couch? So I think Brett said to these two like nice young ladies, like, hey, this is great, but we're gonna go make some baked chicken into that.
Dude, that was you that said that. You said, listen, ladies, this has been a phenomenal time, but I'm honestly really tired. I've just been prioritizing a sleep a lot lately, so we're probably gonna dip out.
Oh.
And then we literally just hung out for 2 hours. He made chicken. We were talking about carnivore a little bit too, because you weren't even really on the red meat train at that point.
Yeah, I was running a lot, eating a lot of greens and chicken, and my body was a mess. My knees were hurting, ankles, everything. And I remember, Brett, you said to me, like, dude, you got to eat more meat. Like, your body's deteriorating on you. And I started eating more red meat, and what do you know? Started running faster and just being more of a savage.
And look at you now. What was so did you start all 4 years?
Yeah, I had a really great college hockey career at Babson. I was lucky. Granted, I busted my ass prior to it, right, before getting there. But yeah, I started as soon as I stepped on campus. Had a really good career. Played 98 games, almost hit 100. 100's like the benchmark.
Wow.
I got benched like the last 3 games my senior year, so I think that
Too many fights.
No, truthfully, man, I just lost interest in hockey my senior year, probably after Christmas. And it had nothing to do with the program or the guys I was playing with or coach, and I loved that all. It was, I'd done it for so long, and I was starting to see that there was no next step in hockey, as in it wasn't going to be a career. Or like I could have stretched it out just as you, and you probably could have played ball somewhere for a little bit afterwards, right? But I didn't feel like doing that. I wanted the next chapter. So I started to just tap out of hockey. And by the time playoffs came around, I was like, I couldn't even play. I was so bad, but not that bad. But
Did you feel like you were burnt out when you were done? Because I don't think I watched a baseball game for like 2 years.
have you played at all since?
No.
I haven't stepped on the ice since graduation. After playing hockey probably every day of my life from the age of, let's just say 12 to 23, 24. And then I haven't stepped on the ice in like 5 years. So no, yeah, I was totally burnt out.
It's such a weird experience. And I feel like so many college athletes or so many athletes do that, where it's like you basically spend your entire childhood and high school just like focusing on your sport. And then just boom, one day you don't touch. I literally can't remember the last time I touched a baseball. Yeah.
We should do that.
Yeah, we definitely should.
Don't you think it's kind of healthy though? It's almost like whatever your relationship is with that, it's run its course.
Yeah.
You've given everything you've had to whatever you're doing, and it's like, man, I got nothing left to give. Whether it's a relationship, I've been lucky enough to have both like relationships and endeavors in my life where I feel like they ended the exact same way, where it was a mutually like, hockey, I've had enough of you. Hockey's like, Jacob, I've had enough of you. Relationship with person X, I've had enough of you. I've had enough of you. Or not enough, maybe a negative term, but like you've given it your all on both sides, and it's like, okay, on to the next.
Yeah.
So there was a little bit of time there where I felt guilty almost at looking at like everything my mom, my dad, my sister gave for me, my teammates, my friends and family to get me to where I was in hockey, and then for me to just kind of say afterwards, don't want to play anymore, don't want to lace them up. I was guilty about that for a bit, but then looking back, I'm like, no, I think that's actually healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think when you step away from the game a bit, like for me, it took a lot of personal reflection upon, like, why did I like baseball to begin with? And a lot of it was just coming down to, like, the game within the game. So, like, the preparation, the moments where you're in, like, a one-on-one battle with somebody and you're just, like, grinding it out, whether you're a batter or pitcher, just like, those moments where you're, like, overcoming adversity. And the moment of reflection being, I got to figure out a way to find this in real life, not just in this game setting, like, I think there was a point where I was just like, gosh, am I just going to be playing this game my whole life? Like, it's fun. Like, I love being an athlete. I love that identity, but I feel like there's something more tangible out there to actually do.
I feel like both of you guys have done a really good job of gamifying the current stage of life you're in, though. Almost to the besides your silver dollar word vocabulary, when the both of you use more of the bro type talk, to me it's you guys gamifying. Like when we talk about maxing or when we talk about slop bowls, stuff like that, it's a sort of gamification of life, but in a sense it's making the challenging things fun, right? Weakness maxing, slop maxing. Like what is slop maxing at its core, right? Like, well, you're in a battle to feed yourself properly, to fuel yourself to get up and do it the next day. And when you can take more of a fun approach to it, gamifying it, find that game in the next venture, I feel fine. Makes it easier.
It definitely does. I feel like
you know what I'm sorry to you know what I'm saying though, with like the way you talk or the way we talk to each other when
off camera, when I'm not trying to be professional.
Yeah. Or it's when people see your Instagram, right? Like what was you posted a story the other day of Brett locked in at the desk, right? And it's like prime example. He's locked in. He's got 3 or 4 things on his desk that he's using to gamify this situation and just keep going. So
yeah. It's actually funny because I was listening to the podcast. You know Chris Williamson?
Yeah.
So Chris Williamson just interviewed Naval Ravikant, and I've for a long time just like respected both of them a lot and just how they're able to articulate life, and they distill down just like those principles that we all talk about in just a very simple way. And Naval goes, if you can find those things that you can make seem like you feel like it's play, like it feels like play to you, but it's like it's work to other people. Like that's when you're in your zone of genius. And that one was, I wrote about this in our newsletter this week. It's going to come out tomorrow, but I think there's something there that is challenging to me, because I do think that we're supposed to bring this like lightness to the way we're going about our work, but then we're also supposed to like carry hard things and like carry the burden. So it's kind of like more of the how you go about doing it, but how you go about doing your work, but also knowing that, hey, like I want to be a CrossFit athlete in the 2026 games. That's an ambitious goal, but I'm going to have fun doing it because that fun is going to propel me to that start line, like to the point where I know like I'm going to be able to sustain this. If you're not having fun, you're not going to sustain it.
Did he use the term fun, or was
he said fun? And I was like, is it fun? And then he also was talking about just like happiness in general, which challenged me a lot, because I think happiness is a tough thing to aim at. Like if you aim at happiness, I feel like a lot of times you end up not being happy. It's like the work in between, like what you're doing with CrossFit training. For
each individual, I know for me at least, I need to figure out what makes me happy, right? And I need to work towards those things that make me happy. It's like for me recently, identifying weakness. Think of it this way, right? If you're really good at something already, there was definitely a point in time when you were working on that skill that you were good at, where you were continually getting happy from it, right? But you're probably at a point now with that skill, at least there are things in my life where the incremental gains to get better at that skill are so few and far between, or require so much more exponential growth, that it's almost not even fun to work on that anymore.
Yes.
And it's probably a sign, or at least I take it as a sign, that I don't really need to I maybe don't need to work on that as much anymore. But instead, all right, take a step back. Where are you going to see the growth that is going to allow you to have more fun? That's just going to allow you or give you more momentum to keep piling on to that.
Yes.
Right? So like, think about your curveball, how long it took you. It's so cheesy to say, but like for a while, it probably took you months and months and months and years in Little League, blowing out your elbow, and other coaches down on Long Island screaming at you, stop there, blah, blah, so on and so forth. But then you have to transition, and you have to work on another skill, another pitch.
Yes.
Right? It takes more time, but then when you start to strike people out with that, you're like, crap, I want to throw that even more, and I want to get better at throwing that, right?
That's kind of the juxtaposition of business versus CrossFit, in terms of like, I feel like with business, it's actually a smart thing to almost outsource your weaknesses to other team members. I think that's something Harry and I have learned a lot, where in the beginning, you're kind of just, you're almost forced to eat shit for a long period of time. So like, you're like, for me, I love sales, but for a period of time, I was like, oh, you have to worry about operations and P&L and hiring people and the things that I don't love to do. And then you eventually get to a point where it's like, no, if you love selling, you can actually get to a point financially where you can hire people that love the things that you're weak at, and they complement those weaknesses. For someone like you doing a individual sport in CrossFit, you have to just be, all the guys are just so freaking well-rounded. So you literally have to triple down on your weaknesses if you want to be able to make it to the games and compete.
Well-rounded.
Well-rounded, brother.
Well-rounded shoulder caps.
Yeah.
Everything.
Do you think there's any truth to that?
Yeah. I 100% agree. I think you hit the nail on the head. Repeat that, because I got distracted by the well-rounded.
No, I was just saying business. I think it's a good thing in business to outsource your weaknesses. Yet in an individual, like a sport like you're doing, you literally can't outsource those weaknesses necessarily. But at the same time, it also feels good to run towards the weak things that you've been putting off for a long period of time. Like when you can finally like confront the dragon, like whatever that is to you.
Agreed. And where are you with that in business right now? Because it's a question I like. As me, I'm more in the individual space, right? I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm in the entrepreneurial space yet. I'm scratching the surface, right? So as I get there, it's probably a hurdle I have to overcome. Where are you guys with it? Are you still trying to do everything yourself, or was there a point in time where you found it beneficial for you to do it all yourself? Or if you could go back, would you say, this is my bread and butter? I'm really good at sales. Harry's really good at
nothing.
Marketing, branding.
Yeah, creative, the
community building.
The community building is what I was going to say, right? If you were to do it all again, would you, because I know I watched from the outside, like you guys were doing it all, right? Would you start again? Would you hire out right away, or would you outsource right away, or would you still try to bootstrap and be the Mr. Renaissance man doing it all?
How would you answer that?
I wouldn't change a thing. I think the context of knowing that, I think there's just a part of you that's always curious whether or not like it's just an ego thing or just learning through this process. But I think you have to realize, you have to own the fact that you're not supposed to be the person that's doing 15 different things. In order for whatever we're working on in the business world to actually get to where it's supposed to go. Like, I think that, yeah, there's a world where like Brett and I are still kind of like trying to do everything. And I don't think we would have any of the uniquely qualified and talented people around us, because we would just be trying to stretch ourselves into areas that we really shouldn't be. So yeah, I think it's important to actually go through that period and struggle with it. And then, yeah, come to the realization that if you want to do something big, it requires a team. It requires like just a cross pollination of different efforts and different strengths. And then it's more fun working on stuff that you're good at. Like, I think at the end of the day, it's also like fulfilling your God-given gifts. Like, if I'm great at building community, but I'm stuck doing things that aren't oriented towards that, it's almost, it feels like a shame. It's like, I feel almost ashamed that I'm not able to like step into that thing that I'm uniquely qualified to do. You know?
You say shame? Ashamed?
Ashamed, yeah. Or like it would be a shame if I'm not able to actually like make that step and be like, like I'm gonna do that. So yeah, I don't know. Do you resonate with that?
I definitely do. I think we probably could have saved ourselves a lot of pain up front by outsourcing it. Yet my relationship with pain now is masochism. Can you just let me be serious for like 10 seconds?
Go.
You're gonna like this though, dude. I think God. The difference now is like God, I believe, wanted us to experience that pain for a reason, as a teaching tool. And part of why I have pride behind that period is like, I just felt so safe and insulated in what I was doing in New York City. It was like, you know, incredible parents. My dad was a baseball player. I became a baseball player. You know, he was in sales. I chose to be in sales. Like, everything was very safe and predictable. And I think part of what was so attractive about doing what we're doing now with Meat Mafia and Noble, it was like zero connections, knew no one in Austin, like zero lifeboat. And it felt really good to like actually take a true risk for the first time in my life and like get kicked in the balls in a good way.
What was the first risk you took? Like, or was there a tipping point in New York City where you're like, I cannot do this anymore? Or was it more that there was a sign that this is not what I'm supposed to be doing, right? I feel like it could go one of two ways. You could have been working on something on the side, interested in it, and then something happened. Or was it, there was a day at work where you're like, I can't do this and I need to start working on something else?
Yeah. Well, I remember when I got my first job at AIG, they made all the analysts take some type of a business personality test. And then they kind of match your archetype like with your score, and mine was like a 99th percentile entrepreneur. But I'm like, this is awesome, but I don't know what business I want to start. And I wasn't faithful.
I think a lot of people feel that way, Brad.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people out there. I mean, inherently, I think as humans, we are supposed to be more creative like that.
Definitely.
I run into people all the time down here, right? That, I mean, Austin's probably a breeding ground for it, but like so many creative people. But I what you just said, what am I supposed to be creating, or what am I supposed to be entrepreneurial at? I know I feel that way.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear you say that. But yes.
Yeah. No, but that was the one thing I would pray for, is like, God, just like tell me the thing that I'm supposed, like just show me the one thing that I'm supposed to do. And he was showing me the entire time, because when I was working in tech sales and I was experimenting with the carnivore diet and having a lot of success, I would just research it all the time and tell my friends about it and write up nutrition plans and diet plans. And I was doing that for free on the side, even though I had this great job. So it's very clear, like the thing that you just want to do in your off hours for free because you love it and you're dying to create, that's the thing that you're supposed to be doing, but you don't know how to monetize it. So it's very scary. And I think that's the benefit of being partnered with someone like Harry, is that when you have someone else in the cockpit with you, it just makes it not as intimidating as I would say. Like you're both kind of like pushing together versus on your own.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
But when did you know, or were you guys actively like working together at all in New York?
No.
Were you?
No.
Because you were in Amsterdam at the time, right?
I was in Amsterdam for a little bit, and then I came back, and about a year after I came back from Amsterdam, I quit and decided to move down here. But Dude, honestly, it was funny when you asked that question to Brett, I had a little bit of time to think. I literally remember the first day that I walked into the office at my old job, and I really don't want to spend any time like bashing that job because it was a great experience for me. But I feel like I knew as soon as I walked around that office, I was like, this is really coming at a cost to where I think I can go with my life. Like I knew that there was like some level of like this, like, it just felt very contained. And I felt like I just had this like spirit of where I was like, I just want to go like do something big. And I just remember walking through that office that day being like, kind of like walking through, okay, this is the type of job where like you're working the Prudential Tower, you're getting paid, you're going to be able to get a good apartment, lifestyle's going to be good. And basically like kind of like slowly
Cape Cod.
making that,
Lincoln Tavern.
yeah, we'll be
Saturday
out
morning.
skiing during the winter.
Top of the house.
I'll do that. I might have a PTSD here. But like slowly making that decision over time and not like consciously making that choice where I was like, yeah, okay, I accepted the job, but I also like, I realized that there were trade-offs to that. And then I don't think, I realized that there were just a lot of like good things happening over the first few years of my career, but also like a lot of the things that I was talking about where it was like, I realized I'm not really tapping into like that drive that I had, that ambition that I had to like go do something big.
Yeah.
And for me, I think eventually I hit a tipping point where like one day my boss said, stay in your lane. And I was just like, I think I got to get out of here. And it was honestly like, it was such an innocent comment at the time, but it just like, it like echoed in my head. And I was like, I want to do something that makes an impact. And I feel like, I'm doing work that's meaningful in this capacity, but there was more. And I just started asking the questions, started putting my antenna up of like, what else is out there? I had a buddy send me an email from a founder down here that was looking to hire. And it was basically like perfectly in line with my ethos and what I stood for. So I was like, all right, I'm going to apply to this job. And that kind of got everything going. And from there, I was just kind of hell-bent on figuring out a way to get involved with what was happening in the food system, realizing that was like a problem that I saw that I felt like I could spend a lifetime working on. It still wouldn't get fixed, but I could help kind of like move things in the right direction. So to me, like those problems that seem like there's like an endless amount of things to do are exciting because I'm like, I know that I could, even if I start working on one thing, I can still pivot to something else and still work on the same problem. So to me, it was like, okay, like I can make a career or life out of trying to solve this one problem. So yeah, made the moves down here and have just kind of like,
As soon as you made that move, things just started falling in place.
a little bit. I mean, I think there was some like canary in the coal mine type indicators where I just felt good about making the transition to Austin. Like at the time, there were a lot of really influential people moving to Austin. At the time, the health and wellness scene in Austin was really picking up steam. It already had like Whole Foods had been started here, Siete, all these other CPG brands. A lot of people I really admired in the health and wellness space were down in Austin, and I'd gotten into contact with a few of them. So for me, it was like, if I just get to know these people, like I would bet on myself in that case, at least to like figure out something to like apply myself to. And like I had an idea of what I wanted to work on when I got down here, and that's changed a good amount. But yeah, it was kind of just like taking some of those indicators that, this industry, it lives in Austin. The people who are working on these problems live in Austin. If I just get down there and start tinkering, like something will happen. Yeah. And like that's literally kind of like the foundation starting point for us. Yeah. Got to tinker.
You have to tinker.
Tinker Max.
Tinker maxing?
Well, I would love to hear your story too about you getting down to Austin because, I think we all three have fairly similar stories just in terms of like that feeling of knowing that there's kind of more that we want to pour into, whether it's like creatively or just the impact that we want to have. And it's been so fun watching you increase your intensity level on what you're doing with the CrossFit stuff because it's a combination of, I think, like almost a prophetic thing, like where you've kind of this is literally just me third party, but your whole life have always had this unique focus that you've been able to apply to certain things, and seeing you step into the CrossFit realm and be able to focus on that and pour all of your effort into it, it's almost allowed you to like do those creative things that you maybe didn't even realize that you wanted to do, but like starting to post and inspire people to go after their own thing. It's been cool.
Yeah, it's been a blast.
Yeah.
Feels good. Feels right. It's like it was tinkering for a bit, and then it turned into what I think I should be doing. But your question, how did I get down here in the first place? Well, for clarity, I am still in the corporate world. Like, I'm still down here working the job I originally came for. I'm not going to mention the company, but I do machine learning full time at a tech company. Was recruited down here, 21, summer of 21, down to Austin, from Boston, from Selfie, living in a 10 by 10 foot room on East 4th Street in Selfie. Yeah, been down here for now, coming up on 4 years. And for a while, truthfully, I was a little bit lost. Austin, I talk about this with Matt Holtzhauser a lot too. Austin's a strange city, a great city in the sense I feel like it makes you find yourself. And the way I would describe that, for me at least, is that there's everything that you could want in this city, right? Like, you could be working out barefoot, no shoes, no shirt, drinking raw milk on the east side, or you could be doing ketamine therapy on the south side, or you could be downtown at some rave, or you could be, whatever. And there's a lot of distractions. And I think for the first year, I was swayed by a lot of those distractions.
Ketamine therapy?
No ketamine therapy. Not my thing. Not knocking it, just not my thing. And it wasn't until I found CrossFit that I feel like everything else down here started to make sense for me as to why I'm here.
It all clicked.
And there's a lot behind that, but yeah, that's what I'm doing now. And still working full time. That's you were just mentioning that there was you had to find an off ramp to work. Both of you guys were giving that story. For me, I got a good piece of advice maybe about a year and a half ago from an entrepreneur down here who I used to work for, who said to me, he's like, your job as an entrepreneur is to kick ass at work as long as you can, right? Until you find what it is that you should be working on, right? And it's like, for me at least, it's been very enjoyable to use what I'm working on, that being CrossFit, and understanding how to get good at CrossFit and get good at hard things, and actually applying that to my corporate life, or my corporate job, and seeing that growth from that as well. And it makes me think, it's like maybe the entrepreneurship route isn't the calling for me right now, and it's just continuing the path I'm on and enjoying that and doing what I'm doing that's working, and leaning into what brought me down here. Continue to check those boxes. But I don't know, I feel like this is a very uninteresting story, nothing exciting there, but that's where I am.
I think it's very interesting. Honestly.
Yeah, I think it's mature. I think it's mature because I feel like, looking at my step into entrepreneurship, I do feel like there was a fair amount of my own ego, ambition driving that. So to see that there's kind of two lanes that you can play at the same time, and still find that piece of, maybe there is something entrepreneurial for you out there, but almost having the peace knowing that you can operate at this pace that you're at now, pour into the CrossFit stuff that's fulfilling you, and then something's gonna pop up.
Yeah. So I'll take the tarp off here a little bit, and I'm gonna be more aggressive and talk to you guys, tell you truthfully how I feel. No, 100%, Harry, you're right. There was a while over the past year, I'm like, I need to start something, I need to do something, I need to create something, I need to sell something. But recently, I've started really, maybe I don't. Maybe I am supposed to be in corporate, because I look at myself and I look at those around me, and I'm not knocking them, and I'm like, dude, I've worked my ass off studying the skills I needed to study to get to where I am right now. And I look around the office and I'm like, dude, just make this your domain, right? Why do you need to you don't need to go and start. I'm speaking to you guys who are entrepreneurs, but I think you know what I'm saying. You don't necessarily need to always, that's not the path for everyone. No. To be a foundational entrepreneurship is what Babson used to call it. And they used to say, it's you can be an entrepreneur within an existing company. And I'm seeing that path open up for me, rather than, of course, Muse, right? It can still be there. It can still be a brand. But I feel like for me, what Muse is how do you be entrepreneurial in the path that you're already on? How do you find that get up every day? What can you find? What can you add to your life that you need that's going to give you that spark to, sure, go and start Meat Mafia and Noble based brands, or to go into the office every day and crush it and keep climbing and being creative and thinking and innovating within already an existing culture, and bringing whatever it is that you have to that culture that they're missing and take them to a next level.
Yeah.
The foundational entrepreneurship is something I think we forget about, right? Think about how many companies are out there that need help, right? All right. Think about your brand and your base. What if we didn't have to change the food system from within, but instead you had guys like yourself in other areas of the country, or like myself, who are business guys who go into business guys. It sounds so. That's a Brett term.
Yeah.
But I'm going to roll with it. Business guys who go into Walmart, who go into Target, who go work for Kelly's Roast Beef in Revere, right? And somehow find a way to be entrepreneurial and breaking the food system into what is already existing.
Yeah.
Right?
That's such a good point too. Like, because that is one of the double-edged swords of social media, is because all you see are the most viral clips of successful entrepreneurs. As a young man, you view that and you're like, and then you put yourself in Austin to top it off, which is such an entrepreneurial content creator-esque city. Yeah. And you're like, well, if I don't do these things, then I have to be doing something wrong. Yeah. Versus, like, I remember when you gave that little testimony at our church, Thrive, and the theme that I took from that was like kind of excellence in everything that you do. You were like, from the way I brush my teeth to the way I pick out my clothes, to the way I train, to the way I do my job. And it's like, why not just take the pressure off yourself? You love documenting your CrossFit journey. You love training. You love AI. If you just do all those things really well, but then you also make time to like disconnect and actually think about your life and the things that you want to do. Yeah. Like, dude, God's going to show you the right path. Yeah. But I feel like you've taken the pressure off yourself a lot too.
100%.
And you're working harder than I've ever seen you work.
Thanks for noticing that. Yeah.
But it's like you're more relaxed at the same time.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know what has changed recently, but I definitely am. I've always been a super driven person, like very hard to sit still, right? Which is unhealthy. But recently I've found a way to remain super driven, super determined, super motivated, but also just really enjoy sitting on my couch and doing nothing and reflecting. What'd you say? You said in your post the other day, or you reposted something where it's like, find something or create a lifestyle for yourself where you work so hard at something, all you want to do afterwards is sit and reflect and relax and recharge to do it again, which is important.
It's like
it's actually a very simple, it's a very simple formula, Brett, right? Yeah. Like, and it's been laid out for us I was raised Catholic. I went to Thrive down here in a while, and I still follow a lot of principles that are laid out. I like to think I just live a very solid, respectable life that is admired, not stepping on toes, like not trying not to sin, so on and so forth. The formula has been laid out for a while, hasn't it? It's been like work and then rest.
Yes.
Work and then rest. Mm-hmm. And I think I was work, rest. Mm-hmm. But when you do find that healthy mix of work, it's diabolical.
It feels so good. And it lets you sustain that output too.
And when you find what you're supposed to be working on and then resting and then doing it again, it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. And you say sustain it? Yes. Which is hard.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you don't have that rest, if you don't prioritize that rest the same way you prioritize the actual output that you're putting into the things that we're doing, it turns into work, crash. And then you start to lose that like fervor that you have for the work.
I went through that a week ago, maybe not, beginning of this week. Right, for me, hitting 10,000 followers, just using the camera on my iPhone was a goal for a while. And I hit that, and I had all these ideas of what I was going to do when I hit 10,000 followers. And then for whatever reason, I think because I wasn't resting and I was just pedal to the metal till I hit that, I hit 10K, and I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't even want to do this anymore. I wasn't even interested, right? And I don't know. And then something snapped again. And it was that I rested and reset. But it's dangerous in two ways. It's dangerous if you can find that healthy mix, and it's dangerous also that if you don't, right? And you can burn out. And when you burn out, you might miss what's in front of you, what you should be working on. I can't tell you how many times in my life, and I've mentioned this to you before, where I've started out on something and I just put so much into it so quickly that it's like within a month, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Sick of it.
But that's awesome though, that you were able to do what you needed to do so that when you woke up, you were back and like reinvigorated. And that's something that I have pride for myself, because I can I can let my mind spiral so easily, but I'm getting better at catching it when it's starting to spiral. And I'm like, dude, the devil knows how to like push the exact buttons to get you going. Like the other night, I forgot what I was worked up about. And I'm like, dude, you know what? I'm literally just going to get fucking 9 hours of sleep. And I guarantee you I won't care at all about this tomorrow. I'm literally just going to go to bed. I did that. I felt the best I had felt in months, similar to you.
Yeah.
But it's like knowing how to like snatch that thought when it pops into your mind and be like, dude, I'm literally just going to rest. It's one day, and one night of sleep can change everything.
Yeah. I've been working on the mental side of things for a while. I'm sure you've seen a bit of some of my content, but I believe that the mental side of whatever you're doing is probably for me, the way I'm built, the most important. Like I try to refrain from saying it is, right? I don't want to put that on you, but for me, the mental side is bigger than anything else. I am my own worst enemy, I'd say. By default, I'm definitely a negative thinker. And so I have to act like extra hard to capture those negative thoughts, stop them, reframe them, so on and so forth. And I think a lot of what you said about me being calmer, more relaxed, but also being just as driven, I believe a lot of it's coming from my ability recently to stop negative thoughts. I think they're extreme waste of energy, right? If you're constantly moving back and forth in your mind, right? By the end of the day, when you have to go to the gym, you have to train, when you have to go be with your loved ones, you're going to have nothing left to give because you've just been thinking all day. And then you have to think about your workout, or then you have to think about what your fiance needs from you or what your kids need from you that night, right?
Yeah.
Stopping those negative thoughts, eliminating them as much as possible has been a huge win for me. Do you guys have any like tactics you use to try to stop that, or when you're feeling that way, like what you do?
Well, I just started reading this book, Inner Excellence. I think you'd really enjoy it. And one of the first
inner excellence.
Inner excellence. And one of the first principles they lay out is that you don't need to own every thought that runs through your head, because all of them they're not all yours. And I think that it actually is like biblical in a lot of ways, because like in the Bible, it talks about like not being anxious over and over and over again. And that to me, I take that as like Philippians 4:6-7 is literally do not be anxious. That's a command. So I take that as, if we're designed a certain way, we're not designed to be anxious. Well, live in a world where, you know, those anxious thoughts creep in, and then we start to own them, and then that's how we start to operate. But if we're truly of the thinking that we don't need to own all of our thoughts, we can just be like, okay, I'm starting to feel anxious. How do I detach myself from owning that thought, and maybe just put a pin in it? And, you know, like you guys are saying, like do those things that, you know, kind of like hotwire you out of feeling that way. And I think if you practice that over a long enough period of time, you start to realize like where you're getting tripped up and how you can like back out of that feeling. But I don't think we're designed to feel, obviously like we feel these things, but I don't think we're designed to like own them and be anxious.
That's a good point. Like, to an extent, maybe, right? Like, I'm sure cavemen were anxious at night if they were going to freeze or a lion was going to come in, but that was probably far and few between versus the shit we deal with on a daily basis: emails, text messages, social media. Like, the anxiety is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You think that creeps in?
Yeah.
I'm 100% influenced by my surroundings. Like, my anxiety levels, my energy levels I notice them like bounce up and down depending on who I'm around and where I am.
That's what I was going to ask you. Have you noticed a shift? Because so we all work out at this gym, Squatch, and you have this incredible crew of people who show up and work out with you. Angie being one of them, who literally you couldn't force her to be upset. And then like a crew of other people who, you know, Drew, all those guys, and you've got this support system around you who's like, whether they're saying anything or not, they're there encouraging you and supporting what you're doing. I imagine that has to play a positive impact, and kind of like when you feel in those days where it's like, you know.
I mean, Angie, definitely, right?
Yeah, shout out.
I get guilty. I feel guilty sometimes when I walk in there and I'm being a curmudgeon, right? There's a word for you. Stressed about who knows what that went on and worked that day. Don't really want to be working out. And Angie's there smiling like, you ready? I'm like, all right, yeah, we're good to go. But yeah, 100%. And I took that for granted, or I've taken relationships, especially relationships in the gym, because that's where I spend most of my time, for granted. And I'm trying to be more democratic, if you will, where it's about a year ago, my friend sent me a screenshot of another friend who sent to a group chat of people who are wanting to go to Squatch or like work out with us. Like, hey, could we jump into that workout group that Jacob and his friends are in? And my friend sent the text message saying, yes, but here's a few rules. 1, don't talk to Jacob for like the first 30 minutes of the workout. It's not that he doesn't like you. It's just that he's releasing his anger or whatever for the day, right? And I saw that, and I'm like, I need to be more approachable, have more fun, smile more, be more like Angie in the gym. And it's made a huge difference. And being able to go to the gym or whatever your Stephen Pressfield talks about your territory, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're in your territory, if when Arnold showed up to the gym, right? And remember those videos? You smiling,
laughing,
everyone's laughing,
jokes.
Everyone's dapping each other up, hugging each other, helping out with form. I wasn't curating that. I wasn't helping with that. I was closed off. And I don't know if it was affecting others as much, but it was definitely affecting me in the sense that I wasn't allowing for what others wanted to give me, what they wanted to give me. I was closed off, not talking. But recently, as I've been more receptive to that community that I really didn't even know was around me until I opened my eyes more, it's been incredible.
Vibe maxing?
Vibe maxing, yeah. Friend maxing, vibe maxing.
Slot maxing. Yeah, that's...
Tinker maxing.
Yeah. The anxiety piece that you brought up earlier is interesting too, because I'm wondering, like, I feel like there's a difference between feeling like you're bearing a lot of weight in this period of your life as a man, and then also just having that anxiety. When what I mean by that is there are certain moments where I'm like, look, what you're doing, there is pressure behind what you're doing, right? It's like all of your finances are tied up in this thing. My livelihood, Dana's livelihood, Harry, Jolie, all of our employees, like that's bearing weight. That's a good thing. Versus anxiety for me is like, if I give my first fruits to my phone and then I'm immediately comparing myself, or I'm checking like the 37 text messages that I haven't responded to, that's when I start to let myself, I feel like that's more so anxiety versus bearing weight. So I try and parse those two things out.
2 different types of anxiety.
Two different types of things. And I'm like, for the second one though, I feel like a lot of that is within it's within our control more than we think. Yeah, where I'm like, well, dude, you could sleep with your phone outside of your room so you don't check it, or be like, hey, I have to read scripture and then lift before I check my phone. I don't know. I feel like a lot of this stuff is in my control. And then I think also failing at Seton Hall when I was playing baseball and getting cut from the team was very important for me, because I'd listen to Tony Robbins and Bob Proctor and these guys that would talk so much about positive thinking and like, hey, you're brainwashing yourself 24/7 and you're always programming yourself like thousands of times a day. And I'm like, is this true or is this bullshit? I can't tell. And then I think back to Seton Hall where I'm like, dude, so much of your thinking was, fear-based and so worried about like the worst possible thing happening or being perceived as like the bad player on the baseball team. And so for me, I'm like, well, I definitely know that negative thinking doesn't work. And I'm having so many iterations of thought every day. Why would I not try and be stupid, optimistic, and rational? That helps me a lot. And I'm like, dude, you have thousands of reps every day to train that.
I like that. I've never really thought about having 2 different types of anxieties, but it's totally true.
Yeah.
Like self-brought anxieties, and then natural positive growth anxieties, right? Everything you mentioned with like Dana, your relationships, the future of your relationship, future of your business, that's all positive.
Yes.
Growth-oriented anxiety, right? Or the others is trash.
Yeah.
Like in the trash anxieties, you can actually control. The others you can, in a sense, like, you don't get engaged. You don't get married. You don't start a business, sure. But then you're not living.
Yes.
Right? The others, just put your phone away.
Yeah.
I like that.
Like when I start to worry about stupid shit that won't matter in 3 weeks, that's when I'm typically like, all right, I have to go back to the well and like take her max and figure something out. Like bearing weight is, hey, I really want to make to the CrossFit Games, and I want to inspire hundreds of thousands of people that follow me to like really get healthier and pursue whatever excellence means to them. Yeah. Like that's bearing weight for you. And then the stupid shit is like you being worried about something the workout details or something like that. Like I feel like that's more so anxiety, like the smaller things that are
100%.
fixable.
Really, that's a great example for my walk of life.
I think too,
Workout details.
if you hold the fact that everything is going to work out for your good as a truth, then you'll be willing to ride those downslopes fairly hard, because you know that there's something being built up in that struggle, and that, you or me or anyone checking their phone first thing in the morning 100 days in a row, and then you finally have that moment where you're like, why am I feeling anxious? This isn't how I'm supposed to be feeling. And you come to the realization, okay, I need to kick this habit of checking my phone first thing in the morning. Like, even though you had 100 days straight of checking your phone, and that's objectively a bad thing, like, you still got to the point where it turned out to be a good thing, and you like see it for what it is. So I think that, like, having that as, if that's your default setting, is all things are going to work out for my good. If you hold that true, then I think, like, yeah, you ultimately end up getting out of a lot of these bad situations, and are able to learn from them. If you keep your senses about you.
Good senses, strong senses.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've slowed down a good amount?
In what sense? Like the way I'm living,
The way you're living,
like
yeah.
thinking, living, just
Yes.
being more present. Yeah, definitely. Yes. For me, and it all starts with having something big to be chasing, something big to be pursuing. I think for you, right? You have your family you're building, and you have your business, right? I think more than two gets a little out of hand.
Yeah.
Would you agree that other than that, you're probably not doing much of anything, right? Those are your two.
Definitely.
Working out, sure, but that's
Yeah.
part of it. Like I'd say it's part of your business, but
Yes.
selling your business, right? Not selling it, but selling in the sense of growth, and then building your family. And I think the same goes for you, right?
Yeah.
And right now, I mine is fitness, right? Training, and my career. For me, when I can narrow down on one or two big things that I'm pursuing my goal, I do find that I slow down. I enjoy life more, be more present.
Yeah. Yeah, like taking control of what matters to you is so important, because then you can reorient your whole schedule and the way that who you spend time with, the things you say yes to, no to, how you do your work. I feel like that all operates around those main priorities. And part of why I'm saying that is I've learned a lot, like basically since 2023, when things really started to pick up, my default is to like white knuckle and just like speed up to what the outside world is doing, versus like outside world influencing me versus me influencing the outside world too.
Yeah.
So like, for example, like right now, we have two friends that are staying with us. There's a conference this weekend. I wish. No, that was last weekend. Planning for a wedding. Harry's planning for a wedding. Like 3 different coffee meetings this weekend. I need to get my workout in. I need to work with meet with someone after this. It's like, my whole point is like my natural default is to think about the 50 things I need to do, and then I just speed up and speed up and speed up, versus like, dude, literally just slow down, plan your day out the night before, and just like imagine yourself just like flowing through all of those things and doing those things really well and really intentional.
Yep. Agreed. I also find that your endeavors, your big goals you're working on tend to make the decisions for you.
Yes.
Who you hang out with, when you hang out with other people, what you say no to, what you say yes to. And then it becomes also a challenge. It's like, is whatever I'm working on worth it to me, that I'm going to say no to this and this and this and this, and say yes and bring this into my life, bring this other stress into my life. So to answer your question, I definitely have slowed down. I think it's a lot to do with, I finally found, after not having it for a while, what I believe I should be working on. Yeah.
Can you talk about just your concept of Muse, the Muse, and how that's helped you over the last few years? It's been a very fun thing to watch.
Truthfully, I'm still trying to figure out what exactly it is, but I think I'm getting there.
It's the elusive Muse.
It's kind of hard. It's an interesting part of entrepreneurship where it's very challenging to articulate your idea, right? Because I maybe not for you guys, but for me at least, I have all these thoughts and ideas of what I think Muse should be. But I don't want to make it so complex that it takes an MIT scientist to distill it down to like one sentence, right? But at its core, I mean, it's a way of life. And it's, for me, the biggest challenge all of my life has been staying active, like staying in motion, not active in the sense of working out, but like having something that I'm working towards and staying consistent with it. Self-doubt, like self-destruction, self-doubt, stagnation, resistance, as Pressfield from the War of Art calls it. They're always close by, right? So for me, Muse right now is just it's a lifestyle that I'm living, a collection of tools and frameworks that I use to stay in motion, to battle depression, to battle anxiety, to battle or to stay fit, right? Whether it's supplements or states of mind, whatever it might be. But eventually, I hope it to become like a sort of, I don't know. I like to think like Barstool, but for growth. A Barstool for finding your muse, right? Finding your muse so that whatever it is that you're working on and you want to pursue and you want to turn into reality, a dream or a desire, you can stay on your path to get it done. Whether it's a new protein supplement you feel like we need, or a new creatine supplement, or whether it's a goal setting frame of mind, or a antidepressant program that you use every day. Who knows, right? I think you know where I'm going with it, right? You can see how I have a lot of ideas, but in general, it's about turning energy into action. And I truly believe that's sort of like the lifeblood of our world, right? It's like having an idea, and how do you bring that idea out into this world, right? And the way I'm using on social media is CrossFit. I have this vision or idea of me being able to get into a competitive CrossFit space, the CrossFit Games. And for my physical ability, dominate, right? Maybe not dominate the field, but dominate in a way that I have never dominated or been physically fit. I have this idea of it, right? And I'm using my social media to prove to you that it's, if you live this way, or if I live this way, I'm going to get, if not there, damn close to it, and then go and apply this to other areas of my life and prove that like this way of life can get shit done. You can create with this way of life. So that's a Muse. So I feel like that's the best explanation that I've given of it recently.
It's a great explanation.
Thank you.
Energy into action, you said.
Yeah.
That's so powerful, because I think the worst feeling in the world is feeling that energy and just so much resistance towards turning it into action. Dude, that's where I get depressed.
That's
where I get depressed.
100%, Brett. Like the amount of times how many times have you seen something pop up? You're like, dude, I had that idea 2 years ago. I had that idea last week, right? Someone did it. Someone had that idea and did it. You didn't, right? It's challenging to do. You know it. You've been doing it now for 3, 4, 5 years. It's challenging. Look how far you've gone, but look how far you still have to go, right? And that can become daunting in itself. You probably have to constantly evolve and change your way of life so that way you stay doing, right? That's musing. That's that's a Muse life.
Yes. And there's no better feeling than actually turning energy into action.
Yeah, Matt. It's the most, I think, the most deep-rooted human emotion. Pull something out of you. I mean, it's like, in a sense, it's like creating a child, right? Like I mean, can be too many specifics, but like you create a child, right? There's something inside of you, and you create another being with it. Well, the same goes for every single thing in our world. But it's how do you do that? Some people are better than others. I would argue Elon, Jeff Bezos, all these people are better or more experienced at it. Not because they're better humans, or at least I don't think so. They're more gifted, or they're smarter. Maybe they're smarter in domains, but put it this way. If you don't mind, I'm going to continue to ramble. Some thoughts I've had on this. I believe that we're all truly blessed with the ability to be incredible at something, right? Like we all have it in us. There's some sort of gene in us. There's some fiber in us that it's the key to greatness in some specific endeavor. But the key is you have to keep trying different endeavors. And I think that no matter what path you start down of doing, you will get eventually, hopefully, I believe eventually, to exactly what you're supposed to be doing by way of elimination, right? Drake, or an artist, a singer, a rapper, a painter. No one's ever going to be Drake, right? No one's ever going to be Madonna. No one else is going to be Elvis. No one else is going to be Da Vinci. However, we all can be Brett Ender. But what is Brett going to be great at. It's Brett's job. It's Brett's responsibility in life to keep musing until he finds what he's supposed to be great at. I think we all inherently have that greatness within us. And what has stressed me out over the course of my life, probably over the 3 years, most recently, is that like I didn't freaking know what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, right? And I still don't know, but I think for the first time in my life, I believe I'm starting to see or take in the feedback and realize that I'm starting to set down this path that's going to get me to the door that I'm supposed to open, right? I'm working and I'm reflecting and I'm creating in a way that I'm being rewarded for it, right? And it's just keep going down that path. Yeah.
Tinker maxing.
Tinkering, man. I think like the more you tinker, the more you figure out what you're good at tinkering at, what you're not good at tinkering at. Social media is a really good feedback loop, right? How many people do you see on Instagram? And I encourage them. I hope they keep doing it, whether it's Instagram or social media, that they have thousands of posts, but they have a couple hundred followers, right? I encourage them to keep doing it, right? But the whole idea is that you can get feedback from Instagram or social media or YouTube really quickly. And I view that as almost feedback from the universe or feedback from God, right? If you're putting something out there that people are responding to and following you for it and conversing with you for it, you're an idiot to not keep doing it, right? Those are clear signs.
Yes.
Clear signs. And as crazy as this sounds, why I don't want to say I don't care about hockey anymore. I just don't miss it, is because I put in 20 years of my life to hockey and I got a lot of good returns, right? Got a lot of good returns. Had a great career at Babson. But the effort that I put in for the outcome that I got versus the effort that I put into CrossFit and social media and the output I've gotten on that, so much higher. And like, so for me, it's an example or a sign to me. It's like, Donnie, like, this is a step closer to what you're supposed to be doing. You tinkered with hockey for a while. You tinkered with AI and ML for a while. Maybe that's still a thing, but now you're finally tinkering with something where it's like, yeah, I'm going to start showing you what I want you to tinker on next. Right. And so keep asking me these questions about slowing down in being less stressed. Yeah. Because I truly feel that I'm seeing that. And I encourage and I hope, and I think people are starting to see it with my Instagram page. It's like, go do it, dude. Whatever it is that you want to start working on, or that you feel passionate about, or you feel that you're getting good results on, or you just feel compelled to do it, just do it, man. Why not?
Is there anything about your interest in machine learning and actually studying that, like you were more or less self-taught in that regard? Is there anything about that you've been able to pull things away from and apply it to what you're doing with your training? Like just the way of thinking. I don't know if there's anything that comes to mind, but I just feel like those are such unique paths.
Yeah, so I work in ML engineering right now. I'm self-taught in all of my computer programming. I sat down in my during COVID, my 10 by 10 foot room in South Boston, and just taught myself everything I needed to know over the course of a winter during COVID. Right? If you go on my social media, you can see I still have my notebook of all that stuff. Yeah, I believe what I've learned is that I'm actually a really good learner. But I need to figure out where I am or what domain I'm playing in, how I need to learn. My learning changes, right? For example, if I'm learning something or if I'm trying to dominate at work, right? I want to be on top of everything. I write everything down, handwritten, highlighter, so I can like refer back to it. That's how I learned there. With CrossFit, like I'm learning that, or with fitness, it's like it needs to be simple. Dumb things down, work on the basics. So, yeah, to answer your question, Harry, it's like, how do I learn well is what I'm taking away from this and applying it to elsewhere. And I think that's important. It's like, if you don't learn how to learn, you don't learn how to learn the basics and then build on the basics, it's hard to go anywhere. Well, maybe not with AI doing everything for us now, but in general, like everything human.
Yeah.
But even with AI, it's kind of the basics in the sense that you're old school pen to paper.
Where,
Me
personally.
you personally.
Yeah. But I will, a common workflow I'll have at work right now is if I come out of a meeting, I'll write down what we talked about in the meeting. Like, let's say it's a planning meeting for a problem or an opportunity coming up at work. I'll go away from the meeting. I'll take down everyone's ideas, and then I'll just feed those ideas into GPT, or I like to use Claude from Anthropic. I feel like Claude from Anthropic. I don't know. This is a new. I don't know if you guys talk about AI much or anything on this
Not
podcast.
much.
This will be the first time.
So I like to use Claude from Anthropic. I was telling Angie this the other day for anything related to creativity or coding, which seems to be better. So like I'll walk away from a meeting. I will use broad strokes. Like I won't talk about the actual specifics of the business problem. I don't want to leak any of the business ideas. Obviously, I won't use names, but I'll give GPT all the feedback from the meeting, all the different points of view, what the problem is, the different points of view, and it's really fun to see the different ideas that it will spit back to me. Like I'll give it my idea and say, this is my idea. And like, oh, like, of course it will side with you, but then it's like, think about so-and-so, bring her idea. Here's how you can bring her idea into what you're doing as well.
That's super interesting. So you're actually, I never even thought about that from a meeting perspective, where it's like you're trying to solve a problem, you're taking notes in all these different inputs, and then you're actually feeding it into one of these platforms, and you're having it help give you summarize and then also give you recommendations too.
Yeah, I don't know if this term is actually used. I think I've heard it thrown around a bit, but like creating a knowledge base or creating a learning base. The more you interact with, do you have GPT Pro, or do you have any of the Pro, do you guys use any of the Pro models?
Yeah.
I use like Grok.
Yeah, you like Grok because you can do like the different voices.
Don't worry about what my history is on there.
Shady memes.
My prompts, they don't care. Don't worry if I research Germanic history or not.
Germanic history? Charlemagne?
Well, actually, can I tell you why I like Grok?
Yeah, hit me.
I asked it, I had a question about
I haven't
tax.
used Grok, actually. So
I had a question about the parent S Corp and the holding company that we were talking about. And I fed it into GPT versus Grok. And it felt like GPT was giving me the very black and white answer that they were told to give me, versus when I asked the same question to Grok, it felt like I was talking to an entrepreneur that was actually helping me get like the real answer that people tell you off the record. So anyway,
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, and to finish up that point, not only am I using it to like get summaries of meetings and get feedback in the meetings, but I'm actually using GPT as a career coach. So like at the end, like I'm feeding it everything that I'm doing, my personal one, right? Not my work issue one. I'm feeding it everything that I'm doing, again, at a high level, not giving it specifics, right? What I'm doing at work, who I'm interacting with, problems I'm having, projects I've worked on that I've done well on, what value it's added to the company. And I'm using it as a sort of coach, especially now with like summer review periods coming up like that. It's like, how do I navigate this very, very, very small succession-like company here in Austin, Texas, and make sure that I continue to grow in my role? I don't want to take heads. I'm not trying to put anyone down, but it's like I want to make sure that I'm still being seen. And it's a pretty interesting. It's helpful, very helpful.
how can you use it to navigate it?
To navigate to as a corporate, as like a career
if you're
coach?
someone that's trying to go up the the ladder of corporate, like how could they potentially leverage it, or like what kind of prompts would you recommend?
Just feed it everything that you do. Feed it everything that you do. I don't like typing, so at the end of every day, I will go on to just on my phone, and I will high level talk about what I did, meetings I had, who I spoke with, what I did, what I worked on, what's struggling, what the company's doing.
So your GPT, like, it's like,
Yeah,
Jacob
because then it
doesn't
creates
like
knowledge
X and Y,
base,
Z.
man. Yeah, it knows you. Like it
Interesting.
knows you at a core. It knows how you learn. It knows the type of people you interact with. Not exactly, but it gets a sense. And it infers. Think about how many. Let's imagine we have a woman named Susie, right? And you talk about Susie at work. Think about the amount of times GPT has read a book, listened to some sort of book, some sort of script. It saw notes in code, whatever, talking about a person like Susie. Same stereotype, same, or what's the word, archetype?
Archetype, yeah.
Archetype. It knows exactly how to interact. It knows probably better than you and I and Harry how to interact with a person like Susie.
Wow.
What is going to make Susie tick? What does Susie want to see on her desk tomorrow? What does Susie want to see in her email? How does Susie's emails, or what does she like to see in her email as far as like quick, easy responses, or does she like longer, more detailed, so on and so forth?
So fascinating.
Because you got to think of all the stuff it's trained on, right? It's seen comments in people's code that says, this effing Susie lady, I can't stand, right? Like, get her off my case, blah, 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 so on. Slack messages, so on.
When you say something like that, where does your mind go to around just the impact that AI is going to have on society? Like,
Yeah, all right.
I can think of a 1,000 different use cases where AI is like shaping, like at work, starting to date somebody, and you're just like plugging everything into AI. It's like, it's almost a little robotic.
Yeah.
It is robotic.
It's very robotic. Not to get too philosophical, because I feel like we have some that you could definitely go down a rabbit hole there, but just from a pure social standpoint, it's going to dramatically change, I think, the value of money and what we know as money. So many jobs are going to be displaced. That where is income going to come from, right? Like this. I don't know. Let's list five industries that could be impacted by AI tomorrow, right? Copywriting, marketing, social media, content creation, maybe even filming as we get drones get more advanced and we have the cameras on the drones, the AIs with the drones, so on and so forth. Let's say 50 million people get displaced in the US. It's like, where is that income going to come from? How are people going to make money? Right? So I know based on the company that I come from or where I work, I think banks are starting to rethink what 30-year mortgages look like. Because are we gonna be making the same amount of money in 30 years that we're making now? You guys probably will be, because you're ahead of the curve and you have you are already living and operating in a social world. But for 5% of the population, they're not living in a social world. They're still living in a world where it's like paycheck to paycheck, buying food, don't have a house, don't have a home, right? Don't own hard assets. Where is that income going to come from, right? So I think that's a very clear change that's going to take place that we're going to have to deal with. Hate him or love him, I think Elon talks about it a lot, and he's constantly screaming at the top of the mountain that people need to be prepared for this. I mean, dude, the past 5 Uber rides I've taken have all been self-driving Uber rides here in Austin.
That's wild.
I feel like the last month I've seen an influx of these self-driving cars.
I trust them more, truthfully.
Versus a 17-year-old dude that's texting and driving.
Yeah,
100%.
Think about where we're going to be at in 5 years. Those things are going to be everywhere. Like 5 months ago, there were none of them on the streets, and now they're everywhere. In East Austin, they're everywhere.
I know. I think productivity though is still just as much. We'll have a lot of off. How about this? I think there's a huge opportunity here. Talking about energy to action, whoever's listening out there, whoever has an idea for this, I think there's a huge opportunity to teach those people who are going to be displaced by AI. They should be the ones learning how to then implement AI in their lives the quickest and the easiest and the most creative and productive way to make sure that they're being their loss is being offset by something new, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. I think what you were saying about money is super interesting. But I also I hope that it helps people do things that they actually want to do.
Yeah.
Like steer people away from these jobs.
Have you heard entrepreneurs or people in the space talk about that? I think it's very common.
Not much, but I mean, I feel like it should take jobs like, driving Uber is great. It's a commendable way to get paid. But like the fact that, and I also feel like it's difficult because there's such a large, and trucking is like the number one profession for people to do who don't have degrees. And like, if all those jobs get displaced, it is a challenge, but like maybe there's something else that we can steer those people towards. I don't know, but
being more creative.
Yeah.
I think every innovation or renaissance that we've gone through, or what's the word I'm looking for? technological revolution that we've gone through. Maybe I heard Chris Williamson talk about this, or who's do you guys know the marketing professor from NYU?
Yeah, Scott Galloway.
Yeah, I think I heard him talk about this, where he's like, every technological innovation has just given us more and more freedom to be creative and create, and it just creates the next revolution. Right?
Yeah. I also like
More time. It's given us more time.
I'm not betting against the human spirit. Like you know, you displace an industry, like it might stink for five years. It might be challenging. It might be difficult, but that is usually that compression that needs to happen in order for something else to be created. So I don't know. I think these disruptions are all kind of difficult at the time, but then it ends up turning into something good.
Yeah. It's weeding out the weak.
Yeah.
You love it though. Hard assets, AI.
Yeah. Bitcoin.
Hard assets.
Sprinkle a little Bitcoin in there.
Hard assets.
Well, it sounds like the synopsis is start leveraging these tools.
Yeah. I'm trying to more.
Yeah. Get on social media.
Get on social.
And I think also double down on leadership and relationship building too.
Ooh,
It's going to make leadership so much more valuable.
yeah, I like that. I appreciate you always telling me over the past few years, like you're a leader, lean into that more. So I thank you for that. I've been trying to.
You are. It's just like it's so hard to understand the way, it's almost impossible to fully understand the way that you're perceived by other people, right? Just like you can judge, like you understand things about Harry and myself that we can't see. We can see the same things about that to you, and like the presence that you have. And it's just been really encouraging for us as friends to see you on the journey that you're on too. Like every time I see your Instagram content, it just makes me want to push harder and chase excellence, dude.
Well, not to kiss each other's asses too much, but like the same goes for you guys as well, right? Like we come from very similar backgrounds, like not specifically family backgrounds, but like where we've been over the past 10 to 20 years. And so it's nice to see that the avenue, what you guys are doing, it's out there. You just gotta double down on it. And truthfully, when there are days where I feel like shit about my endeavor, whatever I'm on, and I do see what you guys are doing, I'm like, all right, stick with it. Well, they're making it happen.
I have those same feelings every single day, dude. That's what social media doesn't show you.
I know. It's good to talk about that, though.
Yeah. I feel like one of the things that I've really appreciated about our friendship since being down here is just, it's felt like there's just always like that encouraging factor of like, you know, and I think all three of us have probably realized that we're all kind of just like in no man's land and kind of just going after something big that maybe we don't even know what we're trying to articulate. Like with with Muse or with like Meat Mafia, it's like, where is this going to end up? Where is this going to have a turning point where it's like clear what it's supposed to be? But I think through all of that, I've just loved like some of those conversations at picnic where we're just like sitting there chopping it up, like encouraging each other, just like focus on the next day. Like, I think it's powerful to have friends like that you know, you're just like, I could go a month without seeing Donnie, and I know if I see him like tomorrow, we could grab picnic and just have an unbelievable combo. Yeah. So it's been fun.
It's been a blast. Those type of friendships are important, right? The one, like friendships where it's like you don't need to hang out all the time, but you're still friends. It's almost deeper type of friendship.
It's a better friendship.
Yeah. It's like I don't need to see you every day, right?
But because you know we're both doing our thing.
Yeah, that's the mutual respect that I feel like some people don't understand, and I think they don't understand it because they just don't see it, right? They don't understand what you're doing on the other end, but especially for guys, right? Like I say to Angie said, like, wait, so. He said to me that day when I went on and spoke with Trip on Trip's podcast, she's like, wait, so you and Trip have only had like 2 conversations in person, but you guys are friends? I'm like, yeah. What's so weird about that? And she's like, you don't text him or talk to him? I'm like, no. When I see him, I see him. And like, I don't think for like women, that's not a thing. Yeah. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
I don't think it is.
No, they got to spend like a lot of time together.
Chad.
Yeah, Chad's our in-house woman expert.
No, Chad. I hear Chad laughing.
Yeah, you guys said all of 2 words to Trip the first time we met, and then maybe 10 words we said to each other the second time we met, and then we're like having
your best friend. And then
you know what's so funny about that is he was over at our house before you guys recorded your podcast, and he's like, Jacob's literally like the guy I respect most in town. You guys have said 10 words to each other. It speaks to the male brain. We're just like,
Real recognizes real, man,
Yeah,
right?
we're drawn to like that leadership that's just quiet and like, and real recognizes real. You know when someone's actually going after something,
No
and when
tote
someone's
bags.
not. Yeah.
You in a black Gucci bag?
Yeah,
Gucci
I've been
duffel?
known to rock a nice tote every
Do
now
you
and
do
then.
tote on your way to Radius?
That's my curveball.
I might need to get a grocery bag for a tote grocery bag, but then call it there.
Just leather duffel bag only.
Yeah.
Just go full tote for like 3 months and then never talk about it again. Never do it again. Just
What-
throw people off.
What does Muse mean to you guys? Like when you've seen me doing all this stuff, what is the Muse been?
When you were talking, you said the word pursuit, and I think that's like a core part of it. I think it's a pursuit of that version of yourself. It's like the chasing the shadow of yourself, that version of yourself that you know you're built, designed to step into, but have always kind of maybe been like unable to fully capture it. And so I like when I think of Muse, I think of Pressfield a lot. I think of that like, you know, turning pro moment, that like leveling up, getting better and better each day so you can like fully capture that image of like who you're supposed to be.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like the North Star inspiration that pulls you through the resistance, where it's like there's so much shit in resistance that you don't want to do that you have to do, and when you actually have that North Star, like that focal point or whatever it is, that's just off. It literally like pulls you towards it, so you can just like kind of break through those barriers.
Hell yeah.
That's the only thing that that's like the best productivity hack I've ever been given is like find the thing that actually lights you on fire, as cliche as it is, because that's what will allow you to do the shit that you don't want to do, that you need to do. So
Really good. Really simple.
anyway, bro, just appreciate you so much, man. Thanks for doing the episode.
Thanks for having me on.
3 years in the
It's been
making, dude.
I know, it's been a long time coming. Well, dude,
Yeah.
it's been like 15 years in the making. Holy.
Yeah. Should we go to Yama after this?
Well, Yama Sushi.
I call Phelps.
Love you, brother. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks, guys. All love. Muse.